All right, so animation-wise, I want to show you one that was done last year. Let me get the projector up. This is done in Google Slides, so you should have a file that says animation with your first initial, last name. Your assignment for today is going to require you to do a minimum of 30 slides, which a lot of people immediately go, 30 slides, oh my gosh. I'll tell you that I'm going to show you about 500 slides. It's going to take about, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds tops. So it goes really fast when you animate it. Come on, projector, you're being slow. All right.
When are you going to get a new bulb?
Good question. I have requested a bulb in like August of last year, and then it got officially requested again in October of last year, and it still hasn't happened. So as soon as they get around to it, I guess. So don't feel bad. You're not the only ones that get told you're not priority. All right, so watch this animation. Okay. Note that none of this is anything other than still pictures and backgrounds. Okay, watch. Oops. Pretty crazy. This is one of our 8th graders currently. This is Alex Walters. Remember that the minimum was 30 slides. When this one was all said and done, it was over 1,300. I just showed you about 560. Now, we're going to take our animation and we're going to use the Publish to Web to play with timing. Initially, when you look at it, the Publish to Web options, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, only gives you the option of turning it into 1 second or up to a minute per slide. Well, 1 second per slide is really slow when you're doing animation because it's like the Bionic Man, you know, like very small, slow movements. We don't want slow-mo, we want animation. So what we're actually going to do is play with this URL address, which is kind of a cool thing because a lot of people go, oh, what do you mean we're playing with an address? Yeah, we're actually going to play with the address. In the address that you get when you publish to web, there's this section that says delay ms equals, and 1 second will come up and say 1,000. Now, the timing on this one is set to 50. So if you think about that, that's a 20th of a second. That's crazy. That means 20 slides per second. Yeah, we just did 560 slides. That was like, what, 45 seconds? Really quick, okay? What we do know is when we do this, things like speech bubbles have to be up there for a good second or two, which means, yes, you may have multiple slides with a speech bubble and nothing else changes. And you just have that slide over and over. We'll polish that part up on Monday and work with this timing officially on Monday. But I want you to get an idea of what the big picture is that we're going for so that you get some sense of what you're creating as you're starting at the ground level. That animation in that 45 seconds had like 5 or 6 different backgrounds. You're never stuck with just one background. So just like with movies, as they change scenes, so does the background sometimes. So I'll show you one that I played with during first hour. We started out with this picture of a basketball hoop, and I added a ball, and then I thought, well, if I put that basketball hoop as the background, my ball is interacting with a very flat picture. I can't layer anything or have them crisscross or meet or do any kind of interactions because the background is flat. So I got really slick, and I actually went and found a picture of a hoop to put on top. Because if I want my ball to go through the hoop, I've got to be able to play with some layering of pictures. We haven't messed with pictures a whole lot. I want to show you a couple of quick things. First of all, if you have a picture that you want to rotate, you have two options. One is with the picture selected. You can go under Arrange and Rotate, and you can flip it horizontally or vertically or rotate it by 90 degrees. Okay. Flipping it horizontally is like doing the mirror image. That's kind of a cool thing. You can also resize by clicking on the arrows and dragging. You can also crop. There's a crop tool if you need to cut part of it off. Basically what happens when you hit crop is it gives you these black borders and you square up the part you want to keep. A lot of people think that that's the part you want to cut off. No, whatever stays inside the black section is the part that gets kept. You also have a free rotate tool. So let me get out of the crop tool. That little circle at the top and your cursor turns into a plus sign. That is a free rotate tool, which means you can grab a hold of that picture and rotate it any direction you want. Okay. The other thing in playing with this is I knew that this was going to have to match up. So I needed to kind of size it up and maybe do a little stretching here or there to kind of get my rims to look similar in size. And most people looked at that and didn't even realize there were two pictures there. Okay, which is fine. The other thing with your ball, and this happens to hold true for most athletic equipment in the shape of a ball, is they have those lines that if you rotate the picture while you're making little movements, you also will get a sense of movement on your screen. Many times people talk about, oh, this is like flip books. So we used to do this at elementary level with sticky notes. As long as they weren't fan styled like that, that doesn't help you much. But if they're old style sticky notes, where there's only one section where the sticky is, see, this is one of those fan kind that doesn't work. What we would do back in the day is we would draw the picture on like the bottom and then flip down the page and draw the picture again with a little bit different. You do that over and over and over, and then you could take and fan those sticky notes and see the animation. We're doing the same thing, it's just we're doing it with electronic files or pictures. So a couple things on this. The biggest mistake kids make is they go, I need 30 slides. Let's hit plus 30 times. No. Okay, you got to do this in the right order if you want it to be a smooth animation. So you start with your picture. What's your background going to be for this part? What objects are going to be on the screen that you want to see movement with? And how are they going to interact? So I had somebody who had a picture of a ground and a sky, and they wanted the sun to come up from behind the skyline, the ground line into the sky. But the picture with the ground and sky is one picture. How do you layer the sun on a flat picture? You can't. So they used that background and then they used another section to make it look like another layer where there was going to be like grass. And they covered where the skyline started on their background with a layer or another picture so that the sun could be behind it and come up from behind the dirt, basically. So you have to kind of think in terms of layers because that's what we're working with. If you watch this, I'll put it in present mode. And if you are playing with this and you want to see how does it look, if you put it in present mode and use your right arrow as you're looking at it, you can kind of see some of the animation that starts to happen by using that arrow button. Okay. One of the things I want to show you, if you look at my little football guy, you notice how there is like red background coming from behind the statue, like in the gap between his knees. That's because the background on him is transparent. A lot of times when we grab pictures off the internet, they have that white bordered background. When we're doing this, we don't necessarily want that border background. So how do we get that? How do we get a good picture without a background? Typically when you insert, we're used to using that insert and going over and doing like a Google search.